Hey everybody, this is Nick from Threat X3 Productions. Today we're bringing you a little bit of just a normal commentary video, maybe a little bit of a story time video, maybe even a little mini rant video. So here's one thing that I kind of get tired of hearing, and that is, I used to play video games, but now I'm too old for it. Or, you play video games? Aren't you too old for them? Or any other of the combinations that you usually get if you tell somebody that you play video games. For a little bit of background, I'm 30 years old. So a lot of times if I tell somebody who is also maybe 30 years old but doesn't play video games that I indeed play video games, that's usually always the first thing I hear is, oh, you still play video games? Or aren't you too old for that? And even all the way up to the extreme of, well, you would rather pay money to get a video game than do stuff for your family? As if me buying video games means that we somehow don't get groceries for that particular month. Or, hey, rent is due, but you know what? That new Call of Duty's calling my name. No, I'm still a freaking adult. I still have responsibilities. And you know, I think one thing that is maybe not as annoying, but still slightly annoying is when somebody tries to call video games a hobby. Now, to some people, video games can be a hobby. It could be something that people do on the side, something that, you know, when they have some time, when they're able to, yada yada, they might play a game, but it'll be a super casual game and they just do it for fun. But me, if somebody asks me what I do for a living, obviously I would tell them, oh, I'm a bus driver. But then there's also this other part of me. What I do for a living is I play video games. I live video games. It's not just something I do as a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Other people, they might like to work out or eat healthy or go on fun runs or stuff like that. And that's a lifestyle. But me playing video games or just having fun with friends online and stuff like that, that's not a lifestyle. That's a waste of time. And I think the most hypocritical people are the people who maybe watch sports. Maybe they watch football or baseball or soccer or, you know, football. And yet they'll still look at me and go, well, why do you play video games? Wouldn't you rather just go do something yourself? They don't understand that it's an escapism. Just like watching somebody else play a sport is an escape for them because maybe they had a really long day at the office, or maybe they just had a really crappy day and they want to go home and they want to watch football. And that's their lifestyle. They live football. Maybe they watch SportsCenter on a regular basis. Well, IGN or GameSpot or Angry Joe, that's my SportsCenter. And it's so weird that even though I've been gaming for my entire life, it still somehow has this stigma behind it that you have to be a certain age. Even though there's people literally out there right now making livings off of video games, people still see it as this something to be shunned. Now, obviously, I'm trying to make a living off of it by actually doing content and talking about it, having discussions about it. That's one thing. But I also just live video games. Even if I didn't have my YouTube channel, my podcast, or anything like that, I would still live video games. Because it's not just about playing them. It's about researching them. It's about looking up videos of them, looking up tutorials, looking up who makes the video game, what kind of people work there, what kind of working conditions do they have. I live video games. And so to have somebody tell me that I'm too old for it, or that they grew out of it or something because it was just childish or something along those lines, it can be a little bit demeaning, and it can definitely make you feel bad about yourself, because it's like, even if you don't agree with them 100%, there's always that little voice in the back of your head that kind of makes you stop for a second and go, wait, am I too old for it? Should I just move on? But honestly, if I imagine my life without video games in it, I think maybe I would go outside more often, or I'd watch more movies, or I'd binge more TV. But I have a really healthy balance of all of that stuff. If you don't know, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and we want to make sure that she's plenty active. So usually on a daily basis, we go for a walk or at least do something outside. But you tell somebody you're a gamer and they automatically assume that you love being indoors. I would argue, because I live in Boise, Idaho, which is probably one of the most outdoorsy cities you could ever live in, I would argue that I'm a very outdoors person who just happens to game. Once again, it's just my lifestyle that I choose to lead. It doesn't mean that I don't like the sun and it's evil and I have to put on SPF 5000 to even walk outside. It doesn't mean that I am a social outcast or I don't know how to speak to people. I'd argue that in some cases I might actually be better at speaking to people. Granted, you're going to have your trolls online and how they act a certain way online and then a completely different way otherwise. But me, I try to stay away from that stuff as much as possible because I realize just how empty that must be to act a certain way just because you have a microphone on and you have the anonymity of being online and, oh, well, you don't know where I live. Well, why should that matter? Why should that suddenly make you a bad person or a sociopath? Hashtag Shane Dawson. This might be a weird story time because it's really just me kind of complaining and kind of just putting my thoughts out there. And I'm sure if you're a gamer, then you probably have had the same conversation with somebody about how video games are actually very nice, about how video games are actually very interactive and how they've come a really long way from just jumping, and how it's not just about sitting in a room all by yourself. It's about connecting with people from all over the world. Because I imagine even if all you do is play a single player game, there's probably a good chance that you maybe visit a forum or you go to a different Discord. And even though you might be playing a single player game, you still go on and you talk to other people who've played that game and give your opinion on it. And you have fun talking to other people about your passion. That doesn't make you an outcast. Now, that's not to say that there's definitely some people who play video games who are shut-ins or who are social outcasts. But to automatically assume that because I play video games, I don't like outside, I don't like talking to other people, I don't like interacting with people face to face. Even though I'm a part of the quote unquote millennial generation, which I don't like saying that I am, but it's an unfortunate thing that I am. I think I just meet the cutoff. So even though I'm a part of the millennial generation, a lot of people might try to assume that, oh, well, I look at my phone all the time, or I don't have real conversations, when actually it's the exact opposite. I try not to look at my phone. I try to have meaningful conversations, and I go out and I have fun. And just because I happen to choose video games as a lifestyle just doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or that I'm immature or anything like that. I believe that like gamers can be the most connected group, because even though there are many other groups out there that might meet together and do certain things on a regular basis, as a gamer, you can contact anybody at any time and just go into a different world with them. Get to know people. People have gotten married online because they met online. And now they live together. Maybe they have kids together. And it's all because they're gamers. And it definitely didn't have anything to do with them being outcast. Although I guess you could say that maybe some people wear that as a badge of honor. I'm an outcast. And here I am with all my other outcasts. But now gaming is becoming so much more openly accepted that there's a lot more outcasts than there are just regular people. But still, you'll have that person, sometimes even in your same age group, that will just look down at you because you like video games. But my most annoying thing is, once again, back to the hobby thing. Even people in the industry, we're talking about people from like Kinda Funny, we're talking about people from IGN, and they call it a hobby. They call it something that they just do. These are people in the industry that literally do video games for life. If they didn't have video games and they didn't make content about video games, they wouldn't have a living. They wouldn't be getting paid. And even these people will just call it a hobby. It's not a hobby. It is a lifestyle. Just as much as working out and being healthy. Just as much as going to the bar. And just as much as being in a fantasy football league. That can be a lifestyle for you. And so can gaming. So you guys let me know. Have you ever had this happen to you? If you're a gamer, it's almost 100% that you've had it happen to you. And I'd even wager or bet that it's probably 100% that your parents have said this to you once or twice. But let me know. Let's have a conversation about this down in the comments below. And make sure to give us a thumbs up and a like. Thank you so much for joining us today for just a little mini rant. Hope you have a good one.